And say hello, everyone and no one, and welcome to another Rotten Movie Reviews. And I actually need to go back to this real quick, get rid of this film, bring up uh, glasses and this one because we do have Will with us. And today we will be continuing with the Tremors series because next week we're going to do a horror movie. We just haven't figured out what. We did Tremors 5, Bloodlines. And with me as always, I have Tier Alexander. Tier, how you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. Yourself?
Oh, not so bad. And we got continuing with the Tremors series with us. We got Will at Forge. Will, how you doing there today?
Hey, enjoying it, enjoying it, enjoying it.
And then as well, we always have Angela. Angela, how you doing?
Doing all right. How about you?
Not so bad. And because he doesn't actually have other stuff to do, and he could make it because you know what? Real life takes precedent over your internet life, at least for us. We have James Colley with us. James, how you doing? Did he drop on me?
Oh Lord, we lost James.
He's still muted.
Talking to his
Okay, he's talking to folks. So again, he's got real life going on, and that takes precedence over this. Tremors 5 is where it takes a huge freaking thing away. They go to South Africa. I think this was the way they had the graboids and the ass blasters. I think this was an original idea that they were going to have like Mixmaster mess with. You know, of having gotten into graboids, but it's just not affecting El Blanco because of him being sterile. And you also come to find out because they add the character of Jamie Kennedy, who is Travis B. Welker in that one, that he also is Bert's son later on. So, spoiler, because, yeah, you're listening to a review. Honestly, it had a great cast, in my opinion. You obviously have Michael Gross, Daniel Jenks did the Van Wyck thing good. Just, fuck, man, the only parts they just had a few parts. It's like really you had to go with that, but otherwise, overall thoughts the movie tier.
I'm loving this one. I love all of them so far, and I love this one. I had a few questions, some few world building issues that would require me to go what the fuck, but overall, it's a good movie.
And Will,
And I've got my criticisms, but this is now the fifth time I've watched it. I've got it sitting in my entertainment center. I will watch it again. I enjoy it.
I'll have to say I don't know how many times I've seen this movie either. Continuing on, Angela.
I've seen it a couple of times. I actually enjoy it.
Oh, I'm not saying it's unenjoyable. What Will and I are saying is like there are things that we like small thing, and even like everyone said basically, some things that there are a small issue with that if you dwell into it a little too much, it just kind of takes away from what it is.
Well, yeah, there were a couple of scenes where I was like, "Oh, you tried to get artistic. You forgot what this series is about."
Yeah, you can tell that it's 20 teens. What is it? 2015
Yes.
release. Yeah, you can tell it's the 20 teens and stuff coming out towards the end of that. It's not overdone for the most part, so it doesn't detract the way that movies built around certain premises always
Yeah.
seem to go bad, because part of it's like, well, we're not making it for this group. No, they were still making this for Tremors fans.
Yeah, like the only part that was probably really the worst was the whole like still having to shoot the tank with the
Yeah.
it's like the rag in the tank with the flaming arrow and
I
have
can-
that point in pinpoint accuracy with a fucking open a goddamn
They
longbow.
splashed the Jeep.
It's already
with
on fire.
gasoline. It's on fire. They've got a rag soaked in gas that they lit on fire, stuffed into the gas tank. That's gonna blow your car.
Yeah.
the notion that it has to be hit with a fire arrow on top of that to get the boom, I'm sorry, you pulled me out of it completely for a second.
Yeah.
You're like, idiots, really? Why?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like you had to have the. It's like you had to have this whole girl power thing really in this whole scenario when it was completely unnecessary considering the fact she just took out a fucking ass blaster not even 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I made a comment about that. It says it didn't go down to all of those gunshots that hit it, but 2 arrows and boom. But on the flip side, she's a mother. She knows her daughter. She's right there.
Mhm.
And, any mother that's that good with a bow, and there are women that they're definitely that good with the bow or firearms or any other weaponry. If it's moving at all, she's going to put 2 arrows into it. So, I mean, that part I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, and then of course they had to have the, because it's actually pretty prevalent in almost everything to where they're going to have something piercing through that it almost hits a dude in the junk.
Yeah, but that's an entertaining part of the scene, especially
that's a trope.
Afterwards, and she asks him if he's all right, and he comes back and says like we're all here or something like that. It was perfect.
Down to check. You can see he reaches down to check.
Yeah, because they do the same thing in Tucker and Dale versus Evil. To where the freaking wood thing goes through and hits and actually pierces through his freaking coveralls or overalls and that whole thing, and you just hear the dude go. It's like he reached down and goes, "I am so glad I'm not hung like a bear." And how Toonie's it's just
and the call out in this one scene here in the kitchen to Jurassic Park. There's only one way they could have made that better. And that would have been the claw tapping thing.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, they kind of had that, but it necessarily wasn't what it was for. I mean, they had a lot of callbacks to everything. I mean, obviously, you always have the critical need to know information skit. They had a fucking Die Hard reference. Come out to Africa, have some laughs. On a monster.
Do some games.
Oh, and since we have James back, we already went over it, but James, your honest opinion of the movie?
Honestly, Tremors is, after the first 2, everything has become rinse and repeat at this point. You've got the same beats, although the skits are a little bit different at times, but it's the same story.
I mean, that's since they got
I'm not
going
to down it because it's still a fun action movie.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the old the giant kaiju movies with Godzilla and that whole thing. Yeah. I don't watch Godzilla because I want to see drama amongst humans. I want to see Godzilla fucking up humans or fucking up another monster.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what we all do. I mean, that's why when King Kong Liz came out in '88, we were all there for it.
Well, that was like, God, I can't. They actually took Thor Ragnarok because it had the best moment for it when I think it was Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, and like the people were like, "How can you like this movie? It doesn't have enough human interaction," and it has that whole thing where it switches over to the Hulk when the fucking the whole planet or whatever is getting destroyed, and Nibelheim's getting destroyed, and he's just like, big monster. And it's like quite literally that explains it all. It's like, I'm not watching this because I want to see this. Like, I'm watching this for the graboid deaths. So it's like, other than the rag and the freaking gas tank, the only other one that pissed me off was because they had to have like another weird ass trying to do almost like a Jaws death with the 2 researchers or archaeologists dying, and it's like, can we not have the artsiness of it? Can they just die?
Yes.
Yeah, it should have been a straight up clear graboid kill.
Yeah,
because they've already established that there's graboids.
Yeah.
All right, so but
Okay.
that raises a big issue right now that I want to bring up in the world building. So if they have a word for those monsters, so these things must have existed far in the past, and now he's just hearing about it. Like Burke should have been hearing about, oh well, Africa has graboids too, or something similar.
Well,
Well, originally this was.
to,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, to put that in context, you look at how long they have not been a thing, and you look at how many legends and stories are there in tribal Africa that you don't hear in America, you don't hear in Europe, you don't hear in Asia, you can't look them up on the internet
Fuck, some of
even
them you
now for
barely
a
even
lot
hear
of
in
them. So I
Africa.
mean,
But even
yeah.
then,
So
if my village is being attacked by a giant monster, and we have enough technology to make calls and stuff such, you're telling me that no one has ever put two and two together, like, oh shit, there are creatures similar to this in other places.
Because in that whole scenario, from what it sounded like, was other than a few people, basically being like the three main black characters and then the Von Wick guy, majority of them were just regular folk who just were trying to live their lives, so they didn't necessarily know.
yeah, tribal people for which generators are relatively new. And global communications is still not really a big thing.
Yes, remember, Sally Struthers is still in Africa trying to feed these people.
I still will say though, I think my two favorite things are Bert finding two fellow kinder spirits. The
Yes.
frickin' doctor, it's like Dr. Swan, I believe it is, and then Den, the pilot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
the pilot.
the pilot, he has the whole thing at first to where it's like they're a little weird and whatnot, and he's like, okay, but when he has with the doctor, and she's like, here, Bert, use this one, and hands him fucking give me a second, a Vector R5 with a pretty
Pretty
shitty
gun. Pretty gun.
with a pretty shitty
Yeah.
scope on it from everything I could see.
Hmm.
But that's a big whatever. In all reality, it could be a bit decent.
If you're not going for the long shots, does it matter?
Yeah. And I just love that because he's like, where did you find this? And she's just like, you don't want to know. And he's like, ooh, I like you.
I like your style, yeah.
You and I are gonna get along. But then later on, when they have the whole shit of him getting captured and all that other stuff, and he calls the whole thing. He comes up and he's just like, I thought you were dead. He's like, she was 10 meals ahead and 20 craps behind, so she spat me out. Plus tickled her inside with a 12 gauge shotgun. He's just like, been there.
Oh yeah, and have him do the spit, the spill in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Well, that's a whole thing of finding common ground in that whole thing. Like that was done in Monk with Tony Shalhoub, to where his character is always got to be clean and the wipes and everything. A character that he'd known before, I can't remember if it was like a detective or a regular cop or something, but and during one of the episodes that actually he saved Monk's life, at the end of it, like Monk shook his hand and he's like, oh, don't you want a wipe? And he goes, no, I don't need one for this. Because that was basically Shalhoub saying it was a sign of respect that he didn't see that person as dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enough, Monk. I think my favorite episode is still the one with the little boy that he takes in for a little while.
I've only seen like barely even a handful of episodes of that movie or that show,
I've seen like all of them
love
twice.
and I like totally
4 times for some of them. Oh, he is an actor with a broad range of talent and ability.
I mean, he's been in there.
Oh.
He's been in Wings. He's played somewhat of a minor villain-ish character in Men in Black 1 and 2.
Well, no,
Yeah.
he wasn't a villain. He was just the one-off.
That's why I said villain-ish.
Yeah. All it
He's-
takes to get the real notion of his range as far as that is watch a couple episodes of Monk and then watch 13 Ghosts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I remember that one as well.
I love that movie.
Because
Yeah.
it is
What the
just
fuck?
night and day difference in the character.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. And I love Monk, but
And he
13
stuck the
Ghosts.
landing on
Like-
both of them. I mean,
I really.
Well, that also not just it's not just acting. A lot of times that's the director as well. So he had good direction or directors in that whole thing to where they either applied just enough or more, or it's like it's just that whole thing of like just enough to where their talent can either go through properly or to where they're pushing to where they need to be. It's like Nicolas Cage isn't a bad actor. He just has to have the right director. There's a lot of people that they can be like Robin Williams could actually be an amazing actor, but he had to have the right director first. Like he could be a great comedic actor, but you couldn't just let him do his stand up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love
the-
him in,
and
What
that-
Dreams
Yeah, you
May
couldn't
Come.
just unleash Robert Williams because he'd go off on.
And that was the whole.
more
That's the
more
whole,
of this, less of that.
that's the whole thing with certain actors. They can be great, but if they don't have the right director who knows what they're wanting to get out of it and just tries to say, oh, we're going to let them go through and do what they want, not everything's going to be Ghostbusters or things like that to where, they can fucking ad-lib the goddamn most of the scenes.
See, I think that's why he got so much attention for 1 hour photo is because him playing a psychopath
Oh, yeah.
and not the fun-loving Robin Williams.
Mhm.
Ooh, it was
I mean,
chilling.
I don't remember if that was before or after his playing a bad guy in Law & Order SVU.
That was before.
I think it was during that because
That was
they were trying to
before.
promote the film.
It might have been. I don't remember.
If I'm not mistaken, that was before. Like if I'm not mistaken, which I can be, but I'm pretty sure that was way.
Don't know and honestly don't care enough to look it up.
Yeah, he can be very chilling. I mean, if you look at early Robin Williams, him doing Popeye,
I am what I
I am what I am.
he did it. That's a good job. It was just enough cheese.
Well, that was
You
like
know?
when he played Peter Pan, the adult version of him. It was just cheesy enough to be fun.
Yes.
It wasn't him, like, I mean, he's done a bunch of ones to where it's like he's done great for a children's movie and whatnot. Like, hell, AI wasn't a bad movie. A little odd near the end of it, but.
Bicentennial Man
Or
makes
Bicentennial
me
Man,
cry every time.
I was gonna say Robin Williams wasn't in AI.
Yeah, I had the names mixed up. I couldn't remember what it was
Yeah.
called. So thank you. Bicentennial Man.
Makes
AI
me cry
was
every time.
AI was I See Dead People Kid, who's also the voice of
Haley
Sora.
Joel
Yeah, who's also the voice
Haley
of
Joel
Sora.
Osment
And
and Jude Law. Actually, I thought Jude Law did really
the Gigolo bot.
yeah, because he's the voice of Sora in Kingdom Hearts.
Haley Joel Osment or Jude Law.
Haley Joel Osment.
Haley Joel Osment.
He actually does. He's
Did not
actually
know
a pretty
that.
good voice actor.
Yeah, he did not grow
Can't say.
into his looks.
No.
But he had an excellent voice even as a child actor.
Yeah.
He
Well-
can't sing, and the give him Finny Fun. I still have nightmares about Finny Fun.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. They should have never made it a fucking musical to begin with. And the goddamn thing of that one, just if you were talking about the second one,
Yeah,
where they had that whole thing, that was actually planned to be more than a lot of that shit.
well, originally people hated underwater combat in the first game, so
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
And
That's
that's
like-
why
That's like in the third game, the reason why that the they had more plans for what was supposed to be for the Frozen world, but because of the way things went, they couldn't go. So it's basically a really shitty retelling of the movie,
yeah.
and that's basically what they did in a way for the Little Mermaid one as well. It's why it's one of my most hated areas.
again, the fitting fun. I still have nightmares.
No, that's just they didn't have him get with an actual like coach for all that shit. But going back to this movie and getting away from that whole atrocity of a portion,
Everything else.
I will still say as well that like I know The Mask 2 is what fucked over Jamie Kennedy from everything I'm aware of because it was just such a shitty sequel. At least from everything I've seen, that's been the main thing of what fucked him over. Because like Kicking It Old School was okay, it was dumb, but it was meant to just be a dumb comedy. Obviously, Malibu's Most Wanted wasn't meant to be the huge big thing. It was meant to again be another dumb comedy.
Well, Malibu's Most Wanted was just him taking the B-Rad character from his Jamie Kennedy experiment and making a full feature out of it.
Yeah,
That's all
but it
that.
doesn't work. That character, you need small doses of that character, not a whole movie.
Yeah. Sort of like where they made the mistake of It's Pat
Or
from Saturday Night Live. And
or
then they made that movie.
But
or
from most of what I've heard, it's like, yes, it's like, well, those ones weren't necessarily great and everything, they weren't as terrible and that whole thing, because the Mask sequel is, from everything I've seen of it, is just fucking god awful.
Well, I liked it.
Trying to remember it. It's been a while.
It looks, you can definitely tell what they had for production on that was way down, and that was the big thing because it was kind of hyped to be something bigger, since it, you know, the first Mask movie had Jim Carrey in it. It's like, and other than until they did the second Dumb and Dumber sequel, basically, Ace Ventura is one of the only sequels he's ever done, and he didn't even like doing that one. And honestly, looking back upon it, while I still enjoy the movie, yeah, you can definitely tell they were fucking stretching on that one.
Bumblebee Tuna?
Yeah.
Bumblebee Tuna.
And like, while the first Mask movie had, you know, it had its comedy, its slapstick, but it still had the darker grit. It's like the darker grit, the bit more adult overtones. This one really didn't have too much adult overtones, and it was just more slapstick kids comedy, basically. Because like when he's wearing the mask, it's fucking ridiculous. Let me see it.
Yeah.
But you know, the
Images.
original Mask had Ben Stein, which also ups the percentage points of a watchable movie.
Oh yeah, it had so much. I mean, it also had was it Cameron Diaz?
Yes. Cameron Diaz.
Which is funny because at that time frame as well, when that was supposed to be coming out, she was originally going to be in the first Mortal Kombat movie.
And thank God she's not in it. She's been turned.
Yeah. Instead, they got the girl who was working as her stunt double. So I will share this real quick.
Bridget Wilson.
And yeah, you can see the ridiculousness if you're looking at my thing of like how they have each character or how they're supposed to look. And
Hello, Max Headroom Mask version.
yeah,
Well,
actually, yeah, this one's Son of the Mask is what it is.
Well, given the hair made it worse. Like
Yeah.
if they kept the bald look.
Well, because with the original one, you know, they were able to go through and they wanted to accentuate Jim Carrey's features because it was supposed to go into that whole thing, but we're getting away from what we need to because we always fucking do.
Just what we did.
And that whole thing, like, this in a way just seemed like it was supposed to be Candy's like trying to return, and I think he was just trying a little too hard in some things.
So let's get back to the real winner of this movie, though, which is Burt Gummer's cactus sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, cactus sauce.
I definitely,
Oh,
I gotta give you some of that.
Oh, by the way, fuck y'all for that. And there was no snake warning.
oh. They
Well, I mean,
cooked
he
the snake.
kills the snake.
Yeah, he kills the snake in the intro where I realized after I made a comment that, it's part of playing into where his son's going on about how he needs a better videography and online presence and everything. Is watching that intro video is like, man, he needs Steadicam more than I do. And anybody that's ever watched me do unmounted video knows I need a hell of a lot of Steadicam.
Mhm.
No, I just have a fear of snakes, and so yeah, that's what I need a warning.
I'm afraid
So
of
the
snakes.
rattlesnake at the beginning, and then the vital need to know information that Bert was denied, aside from in some part they're able to dig through rock. The grabbers, the tentacles can detach on these, which got me thinking is
What
like,
the hell is that, man?
okay,
Evolution.
they're destroying some of these tentacles. Do the tentacles grow back, or does when the graboid have all three of the tentacles killed, it's just stuck without any grabbers?
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
That might have been a bit of a stretch for the whole graboid thing, but if you treat it like a separation of the evolutionary line, it almost makes the tentacles more of a mutualistic
Yeah, kind of like that
relation.
one.
Like a symbiotic relationship?
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
symbiotic
Yeah.
parasite. Like,
Actual
Well,
part.
almost like Portuguese Man of War, which is not actually an individual organism, but it's a collection of several.
I was gonna say, or the one freaking parasite that when it gets inside a fish, it goes through and eventually like takes over its tongue.
Yeah, replaces the tongue and eats some of the food.
Yeah,
Or a better comparison would be the fish that attaches itself to the bottom of the shark's belly. Or no, the anglerfish. The male anglerfish literally becomes mobile testicles for the female. And he feeds him.
that's not a necessarily good thing because that's just it. Yeah, it latches on and not mutates. Basically like becomes part of it and
Just
whatnot. But
evolutions.
it's predominantly just to feed the female anglerfish sperm. Like these one, it doesn't quite literally do anything else. It doesn't help swim. Doesn't help any of that whole thing. Like these, that's a bad idea or thought process of it.
Yeah,
but
these
there's no- there's not
actually
like a
help
tongue.
it hunt.
Yeah.
Bring it food and everything. So it's like, is it part of the greater organism just with some limited distributed neural system, or is it actually
A whole nother
a
species.
co-mutual organisms that not parasitic but collaborative, cooperative? But
So,
you figure that they don't have the shriekers in this one either, but the graboids, the question is where in the cycle are they? Is it just the shriekers are omitted, or is it because of differences they don't have the shriekers at all?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really Bert hypothesizes on it, but it's not really something that's
It's not answered.
answered. It's where you are in the cycle of these. The graboids aren't around long enough for the potential of the. Well, they're around long enough to have the ABs, but not enough to have cycle back through because you got
or you could have,
3/4 of the life cycle.
or you could have it where it's not even a whole mutation thing. It's another variant of the species. It's like how dogs is the classification, but you have German shepherds and dachshunds. Same general family, but different organisms altogether. So you could have where though they don't have that as the streaker life cycle because they're not that organism. You know, they don't get that one, so they have the bigger mutation where they actually can fucking fly.
Well, you run into the whole the AVs with the actual wing flapping everything, though they use the ignition of chemicals to assist in the that and everything still. But you got a few different things, and you know, likening it to dogs, you know, dogs without artificial human influence on breeding, you end up with dogs in different regions, and the genetics that are ill suited for that region
Get killed out.
get shared. You know, you get the cold regions. Well, the small dogs, the short hairs, all those don't last there. You get the hot regions. Well, all the genes for the long hair, the heavy insulation, your Alaskan Huskies and everything, that's not going to survive in Africa naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be the same species divergent, and then certain sections of the genetic code are lost just because it doesn't.
You also have to understand this was originally
suit
supposed
to the location.
For this movie, the original script wasn't him going to Africa; it was him going to Australia. It was basically supposed to be Tremors, Burt Down Under.
And
that whole thing,
which changes a little bit because Australia is such an isolated and well, I mean, on the other hand, I mean, Graboids in Australia where everything's already trying to kill you. I mean, do they need the competition from the emus and everything else?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like kangaroo. Like, imagine a graboid getting punched by a kangaroo.
But then you take South Africa. You take South Africa. So at least they didn't mess with any Cape buffalo because those hold a grudge forever.
Actually, at least they didn't mess no hippopotamuses.
Well, hippos tend to stay closer to water.
Yeah, hippos tend to stay closer to water. Cape buffalo are the fun ones because they hold a grudge forever. Lions tend not to mess with them because one lion messes with a Cape buffalo, the entire herd hunts down every lion they see for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
Man, it's a clan of dicks.
These are herbivores, but they are not to be messed with.
Hey, talk about fucking dicks. Shit.
They're like, okay, we understand we're not the top of the food chain, but you don't want to make us prey. Because we remember and we come back.
Leave us alone and we'll leave you alone.
Yeah, it's don't mess with us, we don't mess with you. You mess with us, we're big, we're heavy, we got big horns and strong muscles. We're gonna, you'll kill a few of us. We'll kill all of you that we see. Yeah.
They're maybe bigger, but there are more of us than there are of you.
Yeah. Well, you're stronger. You got claws. You got sharp teeth. Nothing in its right mind messes with Cape buffalo. Not when the herd's around, at least.
With the Cape buffalo thing, like the grappler would probably be one of the few things that could fuck it up because honestly, they can't see it.
They can't get back at it.
Like they could plausibly get a fucking, like if they had shriekers, take out a shrieker if the shriekers if there's not multiples of them, and plausibly with an ass blaster if it wasn't able to lift the one Cape buffalo.
Yeah, catch it on the ground, they'll smash it. Shriekers, they'll smash it. I mean, some of them are gonna die.
Yeah.
Some of them die to predators now. But if it's one of those, if we catch you messing with us, we're gonna mess with you. You piss off one, you pissed off the trailer park.
I like that. You piss off one, you piss off the trailer park.
But I will still say, going back to this movie, one of the few things, and it's always something that always bothers me. And I understand, pump action shotguns are relatively cheap to produce and cheap to buy. But for fuck's sake, I'm
racking the slide is something everybody knows.
Yeah, and I'm also tired of everyone hip firing so much for so much stuff. And honestly, in a self-defense situation, like if you're looking at a shotgun for self-defense, semi-auto is always king. Reason being is anything that causes you to have to remove the action other than like a double barrel or a single shot, like a break action one, you have a chance of causing a malfunction yourself.
Yeah. The less you have to remember in a time of stress.
Mhm. I mean, with training, you can go through. Well, I shouldn't say train, but with practice, you can get there. But you could always short stroke the fucking shotgun.
Well, I mean, with practice, you can reload. Say, with practice and speed loaders, you can reload a revolver about as fast as you can reload a semi-auto. Say,
Yeah.
almost as fast. But I mean, who apart from Burt Gummer is going to practice on that level? You know,
Professional
that kind
shooters.
of mindset. Yeah.
Professional shooters, survivalists. Honestly, anyone who starts getting into competition shooting. But it's still just one of those things that even with a semi-auto, it's going to be a little nicer over that because you typically have more rounds you can get to before having to reload.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a super niche thing.
Mhm.
And your semi-auto in the shotgun, it's going to hold more. You know, it's going to hold at least the same number of rounds. And once you've got the first shell loaded, you don't have to do anything but the trigger until it's empty.
Yeah, that's why if you ever
And
if you ever go to a shotgun course, their whole rule thing of that isn't for shotguns is if you're not firing, you're feeding it to keep it full.
Yeah. And that's where you get into the, hey, I've got shells in my hand. I fired 3 shots. I'm jacking shells back in right away.
But I will say I liked how they did the foreshadowing of using the Mother Nature thing to set your watch to it, and then the electricity in the ground to bring up the worms.
Yeah,
it was
that was really cool.
And you
smart.
electrify the ground like that. Anything's coming out.
Yeah.
And the zapping worms, it works.
Yeah.
So you get that. You get the there are places where the weather is that consistent, that predictable. It is a perfect attachment to the environment. I don't even got a problem with the fact that in all of the shooting and everything, she destroys the egg with an arrow where everybody else is unloading guns and whatever.
The lightning strike destroys the egg.
Oh, the lightning strikes it. That's right.
They let Mother Nature have that one.
They let Mother Nature have that one. But I mean, everybody's area's going through it. The one thing, Burt Gummer's like, don't shoot. You can worry about hitting the girl, and then he's unloading that in the direction of the graboid when there are men falling from a tower that it knocked over. I mean, okay, you got Burt with a gun versus his son with a gun, but still.
It's still not a kid.
Yeah.
I guess if you take it from the
grown-ups are getting in the way, that's
if you take it from the broader, 1, they're adults. 2, you do have the more immediate need. Now we've got to kill this thing.
Yeah. Because at that situation,
and Mother Nature still killed it.
At that situation, it was still the whole thing of because he was wanting to get the tentacles, is what they were with the girl being there,
right.
And he was basically had the whole thing of like, no, you don't need to fire yet. They're not going to attack her as long as she still has the egg.
Yeah, that's
because with her having the egg, it's in danger. So they're trying to pivot it to where they can get her potentially, or at least get the egg without damaging the egg.
Yeah, get her safe. Get rid of the tentacles. Then you just got Mom Worm to worry about. And I love it when they're going back to the village and everything. Well, they're going back originally to the center, and then they go to the village. Like the tentacle, one of the 3 is on the axle. It's like, it's got us. You got a gun, shoot it.
You got a gun, use it. Like I will still say that this movie is weaker compared to the rest of them. And I know James was saying it's like, yeah, it's kind of a wash, rinse, repeat. The only one that didn't necessarily have that too much, I would say, was the prequel. It was a little wash, rinse, repeat, but it was still more of a, you as the viewer knew what to expect, but they were dealing with none of them knew. So it was supposed to be that completely new thing of like, and even kind of still showing the whole of like, there was thought process of it before, of what they thought it was from like other people's lores when they called it the dirt dragons. In this, they had it there. Because again, with everything, it's that whole thing of small villages, information not going around fully, and from everything we were aware of for that, all the villagers and everything, it was a tradition, but they just thought it was all legend.
Yeah. Well, you've got also they find the fossil, and that's you get a couple of things where Bert's denied vital need to know information gets, and it's like, oh, hey, it's leaner. You got a serious problem because it's leaner. It is obviously more of an apex predator.
It's more aggressive.
It's more dangerous. The thing that he didn't know that they discovered the magnesium mandibles and formic acid in the stone, so it could actually soften stone and burrow through it. So it's a super digger, which I don't think they played up enough on that. Other than you think about how much of Africa is dirt versus stone.
Yeah.
I don't really think they played up enough on that because it would have been to have the tentacles attached. He's denied vital needs no information, but they've gotten that. And then instead of the guy falling to the ground, have the graboid come up through the stone.
Well, he was only standing on a somewhat smaller stone on that one, where it would have made sense as well. Would have been to have the thing hit the concrete and then slowly start being able to go through it.
Right.
Oh yeah, that
would have been the spot to be like, okay, it stopped him. And then be like, no, it's just slowed him down. And it's like, oh, okay, we got to do something now. And then that's when they do that whole thing. So they start up a vehicle. So the graboid's like, okay, I'm going to back off because I now have a way to go at them.
Yeah, because if the concrete stops them for good, like it showed, crack the concrete, but how many times are you going to do that before he gives up or dies?
Yeah.
We've basically wiped out everything but the worm part of the life cycle, and it's actually making its way through concrete, so stone's not a defense.
Again, this seems more like an evolution of the species, not an evolution, a variant of the species than a whole new creature.
That's why, like I was saying, I still think in all honesty that this was supposed to be a thought process of having it that somehow a thing of Mixmaster was got out and brought somewhere else. Like they had an animal that had in there, but they got it to whatever location it was going to be at, and it got to a younger graboid there, and that's what mutated it. Or it's like a few of the graboids there, but one hadn't molted to become a shrieker.
Yeah, but they spiked that by throwing in the fossil.
Yeah.
And you've got if it was an obvious Mixmaster got out kind of thing.
This also falls into the whole thing. You have a different studio or production studio doing the writing for this. So it's not the original thing of what it was supposed to be. So they're taking ideas from it and then going on their own thing.
I have a thought process of my own here. In this one, we're introduced to Mama Shrieker that produces all these eggs, right?
No shriekers in this one, just the worm, the ABs, and the eggs.
Yeah, because that's the ass blasters that do the eggs, because shriekers molt into the ass blaster. And we don't know how many shriekers their ass blasters there necessarily were, because they kill like 6 of them.
Okay. Well, I got the wrong creature. Yeah. But the point is, you got this giant ass blaster that's producing all these eggs. But if you also think about it, you've all got El Blanco.
But El Blanco can't reproduce. He's sterile.
Exactly. But you've got this ass blaster that hasn't evolved.
Oh, again,
bigger than all the others.
Again, hold on. Again, there have been several ass blasters. They take one out in the truck. They take the other one out. They take like 3 of them out with one of them out with a shotgun, one out with the arrow, and I think there was like another one in there. So there's been several ass blasters, and they all have so many. It's like so many eggs. Plus, we don't know how many ass blasters were in the cave when he threw the white phosphorus grenade that would have mulched most of them that were in there. Plus, you have that one.
The ones that,
Plus the rockets that came out. So it was only the ones that were going out after the egg. So you can't necessarily say that it was all one particular ass blaster that did all of this, or it's like had all of these eggs. We know that typically one ass blaster will have anywhere from like 1 to 3 eggs, if memory serves me correctly.
I'm not sure if it's ever established how many eggs they have in them, or if they like can produce more than the one. But you've got the shrieker is kind of the worm and the shrieker are where multiplication happens, because the worm typically generates 3 shriekers, and the shriekers, if food is plentiful, can produce any number of themselves before molting. So even if there's only 1 egg each, and there were a ton of eggs in that cave.
Yeah, there was at least a baker's dozen. And by the way, what's up, BG?
What up, BJ?
Hey, BG.
And most of the tentacles got dudes, not chicks. So you're gonna have to go with your fantasies to yourself.
Yeah, gonna have to keep your head canon there, because
these aren't the type of tentacles you want.
No, their choice of violation is turning you into dinner.
Mm-hmm.
What's a little dinner between friends?
Okay.
I prefer to keep all of my parts, at least until the hip replacement.
No hip replacement for you.
I definitely prefer not to become dinner.
Yeah, I'm not looking to be any lower on the food chain.
Can we push up a little bit, even, because there's a couple of apex predators out there that think we taste acceptable.
Quite delicious.
Well, I don't happen to live in those areas, and if I did, I would make sure that 1, I still have a gun that can take care of 2-legged critters, and 2, a gun that would be on me at all, or around me at all times, within arm's reach, that can take out one of those critters, i.e. predominantly a Kodiak or a polar bear.
Well, see, the problem is, I'm never worried about a polar bear getting me, because I live in reality, and polar bears can't survive in my climate.
I live in reality.
So,
Did you just say polar bears aren't real?
No, I said they can't live in my climate.
So you'd be surprised where they can live if they can at least have access to water to keep themselves at least moderately
yeah, it gets fairly warm in Maryland during the summertime, and I doubt they would survive very long.
Well, maybe it's one of the ones that escapes from the zoo.
Polar bears actually can handle heat, dear, believe it or not. They prefer cold, but they can handle heat.
Yeah, polar bears. Yeah, if you actually, oh god, I can't remember which freaking thing it was from Roanoke. I don't know if it was Roanoke Tales or Roanoke Games that he brings up of like how, there's certain parts of Alaska and whatnot that like you definitely don't want to have any less than like a particular caliber, because polar bears are one of the few bears that are not skittish of humans, and occasionally they will come up and just like do a little campfire and pluck a human away. And unless you have the right gun, there is nothing you can do to save that person. Because they're going to turn them into lunch or dinner.
Yeah, they will straight up eat you.
Yep.
They're not even going to be fussed about it.
If polar bears drink Coca-Cola, what goes good with a Coke? Humans.
So, Chief, thank you. That reminds me that I can never visit Alaska or Greenland or any of these places with fucking polar bears. Thank you. I love all 3 of you.
Well, you can still hold on. You can still visit these places. You just have to understand that those things are available. And Tier, yeah, I'm gonna sound stereotypical. I don't foresee you sitting around a fucking campfire. Not in the middle of the
Yeah.
night because you're trying to survive for heat. Like, if anything, I see you around a bonfire to where it's like a party like that and the whole thing to where, but you're still going to be a distance near the fucking door of a house because that bonfire is going to be in the backyard.
I see Tyr hanging out by a fireplace with a bottle of wine.
It's an indoor fire, and you got a 50% chance that you can't open the grate to roast marshmallows, even because it's a gas fireplace.
Racist.
No, I see him
We
actually
all
with
know
a
that.
wood fire.
We all
Racist.
know that Tyr loves a good fire.
Tyr,
That's fine.
you're going to go out there and be a fucking bushman in the goddamn Great Alaskan area. Then it's not fucking racist to call you out to say, hey, I believe I know you well enough to say you're not going to be doing what's predominantly dumb white people shit.
Tyr, it's not even talking about dumb white people shit. I'm talking about the fact that you have on more than one occasion said you ain't doing shit because you're a city boy.
True.
And that's not a race.
See, so like
And
you
that
could
is
still go
why
visit.
I said I don't see Tyr out by the freaking campfire. It has nothing to do with race.
Well, that's why, like I said, I could see him if he went to Alaska because he met the right person. He made some friends up there. Like going to one of them's place to where it's like, yeah, they're having a bonfire in the backyard. Like, or he goes somewhere in the upper parts of Canada where they're still going to have a bonfire because they're having fun and whatnot. But he's going to
25, 35 feet from the door,
Yeah.
and 9/10 of the people have a gun.
Yeah.
I will remind you of 3 important Tyr facts. Tyr does not like the cold. Tyr does not like the cold, and Tyr can't stand anything lower than 72 degrees. Tyr will never go anywhere. What? Huh?
So you're
Why the
bitch.
fuck are you in Baltimore?
So
I was born here.
you're bitching at the fact that you can no longer go to Alaska, to Greenland, to anywhere where polar bears might exist, when from everything you've just stated in that whole thing, they're not places you're going to go in the first place.
Oh, by the way, Tyr, did you know that polar bears are not white, but
I know they're
their
black.
fur is a reflection of
They're black. Their hair is clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Their skin is black.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Polar bears is the original black bear.
They're nigga bears.
Yep.
Wow.
Seriously, though.
So,
But Jesus
I
Christ,
know.
Tyr's just being like that person that's like, oh, I can go down, I can go to this area. It's like, I'm not going to go to this area because I don't like this type of thing. So that obviously ruins my vacation plans of going to that area. Motherfucker, you weren't planning to go there to begin with.
You're right. I wasn't planning to go there. It's fucking cold.
So you're like, oh, you've ruined. You have your fainting couch and you're freaking throwing your arm back over your fucking forehead. You've ruined my plans to go to Alaska or to Greenland. Though I had no plans to go there in the first place.
Hey, I told you about that fainting couch, and I didn't tell you about that fainting couch to tell the world about my fainting couch, okay? God.
Where are my
Know
pearls?
about your fainting couch, darling.
his fainting couch and the pearls, right? Pearls are attached there. He's like, where are my pearls? Oh, yeah, they're at the fainting couch.
Look.
Nobody tell him about wolverines and honey badgers.
Oof.
we all know that Tyr likes a nice bottle of wine next to a fireplace, and he has his white servant throw in another log every now and again.
And if he's choking, the servant will come up and like, "Are you okay, sir?" He'll be like, "Don't touch me with your ungloved hands."
He has a proper English butler, sir.
But,
Yeah.
sir,
No,
I'm
don't
wearing
have
3 pairs
I'm a
of gloves
manservant.
for your comfort.
And his name is Gavin.
I don't have a butler. I have a manservant.
And his name is Toby.
No, his name is Jeeves.
I thought it was Gavin.
So Jeeves is definitely a butler.
Yeah, Jeeves is always a butler.
He's a
And
gentleman.
technically his name is Sam, but he keeps calling him Jeeves, and it just pisses off the white man.
I mean,
Say his name's actually
Gla-
Sam.
glass of wine by a fireplace sounds kind of nice, actually. Fireplace is good on the old bones on a cold day.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not a wine person, but I
Well,
ain't
I
a wet
mean,
fireplace.
can be
but you can have a nice
whiskey,
Irish
can be
cool by the
rum,
fireplace.
can be something else. I
I
mean,
mean, shit, it could be a fucking beer and that whole thing. It's like if I, Lord willing, somehow came into money or like won the lotto or whatnot, and got to build my house choice the way I want it, where I want it necessarily, I would have a fireplace, and it would
I would
all,
have a
Oh, I
and
fireplace.
wouldn't lie.
it would also be big enough that I could cook on it too.
well, yeah.
Oh, I won the lottery. I'm gonna do it like Hugh Hefner did. I'm gonna have my company fund my house and pay $1 rent a month.
Oh, I plan on like if I could have what I want, I'm gonna have
Say,
enough
you think
property to
that's
where I can basically have my own wild animals. So that way, if I want to take a wild animal or take any of that, I don't have to ask the government for a hunting license. I'm just
yeah,
taking my own animals.
yeah. Bring them in, let them breed wild inside fences.
Yep.
As long as the property border cannot be breached by the wild population.
Oh yeah. I'd be looking at no less than like a 10-foot fence, and it have it depending on the state it's in. I'd be looking at the laws of what I have to have for a no trespassing sign because I'd even have a gate that I had to go out of.
Only one 10-foot fence.
No, all the way around the property. But what I was going
I
to
said
say is
only one.
the no trespassing signs are supposed to be within so many feet of each other. I would probably half that so that way they can't try to say anything. And all of them would also have above them for the no trespassing sign would just say Exhibit A.
Yeah. And then above the no trespassing sign, violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again.
No, you don't want to sign like that because if you actually have to do it, prosecutors will use that
Yep.
against you.
That's why I just
They
put.
really will.
Yep.
Well, that's why I have the defense of they fucked around and found out.
Nope. That's
No,
why I would just have
because
the no trespassing,
Just
and above
just
it would
the
just
no
say
trespassing.
Exhibit A. Like that.
if you have a beware of dogs sign in on your house here in California and somebody breaks into your house and your dog attacks them, then you can be prosecuted by the person who was attacked breaking into your house.
Yeah.
Well,
If your dog bites them
Your
inside
beware
the
of dog
house
sign,
with a shattered window.
your beware of dog sign indicates that you knew your dog was dangerous.
Andrew, can I say something? I don't want to sound mean, but California's a fucked up place.
I am aware.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
states that are
it
like
is.
that. For here in Michigan, someone can break into your house, and if they get hurt in their house, they can sue you for the medical bills.
Yeah, but if they
That
break
is
into your
also
house and
true.
you shoot them in your house, you're generally speaking free and clear under self-defense laws.
It's a lot easier if you're a woman. No,
I-
seriously,
Yes
that's
and
actually
yes and no.
that's actually a guaranteed thing because women are going to get less than that because you have a better way of saying you're in fear for your life.
I
And,
identified as woman when
Technically speaking, by having forcefully breached the barrier of your house, they have enacted provisos of the law that give the presumption of self-defense.
Well, I only say that because there was a case in Michigan. It happened on the other side of the state by Detroit or something, where it was a black guy lived in a decent neighborhood and whatnot, and because of a person breaking into his house and him shooting that said person because he was in fear for his life, it still took like an almost 2-year legal battle for him to be able to own firearms and not be labeled a murderer.
Yeah, well, that's a aggressive prosecutor in Detroit, trying for something that the state law is rather clear on. But yeah, the difference, if they break into your house, trip over a coffee table, and break their leg, you're probably going to be on the hook for it.
Which is absolutely bullshit in my opinion, because it's that whole thing of because they're putting in because their defense is, well, if he hadn't had that coffee table there, I wouldn't have tripped and broke my leg, and it's like,
if you hadn't
illegally entered my home, you had no consent to enter or be in my home, you would have never gotten hurt. So liability should not be there.
Well, that's the worst part about the Beware of Dogs sign, is you are also, if your dog is in your backyard, you're also required by state law to have a sign that says Beware of Dogs.
Oh, that's a catch-22 bullshit.
Yeah, that's entrapment. That reaches the point of entrapment, because it doesn't matter, how harmless your dog is. If the person kicks the dog and the dog bites back, then you just lost out. You get the thing. If you take that particular thing out of it, you just get into the liability of, if you have a Beware of Dog sign, that's basically acknowledging that you're aware that your dog is a threat to others. It's a liability issue.
I'd rather have a Beware of Human sign.
I've been a place that says don't worry about the dog, beware of life.
I like the ones that said. I just like the one where it's like, I think it's a meme where it's like, it's like, it doesn't say beware, it's like, be aware of dog. Cat's also shady as fuck.
Place I've been is like, all dogs welcome, children must be on a leash.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, fuck the dog, beware of me.
I've been a place that says forget the dog, beware of owner too.
The dog would just bite you. I'm gonna put a cap in your ass.
That's why I always like the whole thing. People would say, it's like, oh, if you shoot someone who breaks in your house, you value your possessions more than you value human life. If they're willing to break into my house, 10-1, they value my possessions more than my life.
They value your possessions more than their life.
And they value my possessions more than their life.
Tier?
Yes, ma'am.
I sound more ghetto than you do.
The fuck?
I'm going to put a cap in your ass, is what
no,
you said.
No, I said I'm going to bust a cap in your ass.
No, you did not.
Why is everybody calling me out today? Like, everybody's calling me out. Like, you don't
Jesus
sound like
Christ, I think we found how Tyr used to tell his ex that he was about to be done. I'm a bust!
Nah.
Tyr's like, nah, shut up, girl.
Just come right in the face.
Ew,
I'll start, baby.
Nah, Tyr pulls the Scary Movie 1. Oh shit, somebody's coming. Who? Me!
Ew.
That was one of the funniest fucking parts in that movie, in my opinion.
Shit, I used to fuck with dog shit. Yeah.
I don't think I've poked at you yet, Tyr, have I?
No, you
Not
haven't
much.
come for me yet.
This much?
But you will at some point in this
much?
I mean, I know Tyr's gone at me in that whole thing, but it's like, I'm just he's almost basically said the same thing I got with my old roommate from back in the day in New Mexico. So technically, other than when I lived with my folks, it'd be the last roommate I actually had. So this is several years ago. Lived in New Mexico, and both me and the guy I live with, just gonna call him by his last name, Bruce. He's got two first names basically, or his first name for a last name. Not Bruce. Bruce.
So you were rooming with Bruce.
No, he was not as tall, as big, nor as black, because he was as white as fuck Texan boy.
Okay.
But we had gone to the range that day, and our neighbors, because it was like a kind of duplex thing without the garage, so it was kind of more like a fourplex, but they were in a line, and then like in lines. And our neighbors constantly had parties over the weekend. Never had an issue with it, because several times we'd had it, like if I was out smoking, because I was a smoker at the time, like they'd see us and they'd be like, "Oh, hey guys, what's up?" And we're like, "Oh, not too much. Hey, can you guys turn the music down? I gotta go to work tomorrow." And that, and you know, you'd expect to hear like, "Oh, too loud." Like, no, they would quite literally like be belligerent at the other people in the party. Like, "Hey, turn on the fucking music." Like, sorry about that. We're like, "Hey, dude, no problem. You know, we're not trying to stop nobody from partying. Like, we know that's why we don't want to piss you off." But apparently, one day, one of their boys had gotten fucking drunk, like while they were having a party. Well, he went outside, and I guess someone closed the door behind him, and he didn't realize that. So he shows up at our door and starts fucking beating on the fucking door. I go to open it, and as I get it open, he pushes the fucking thing forward and just steps in. So I jump back, pistol in a shoulder holster that's loaded. My buddy's
Oh,
about
shit.
10 feet behind me at low ready with a G29.
God damn.
Shit.
And we have basically a standoff for a bit. Because the dude all of a sudden realizes after he's taken a step in, there's no music. Nobody else is there. And we're like, "Yeah, dude." And he's like, "This isn't the party." I'm like, "No, dude, that's the next house or like the next apartment over." It's like, you know,
Oh,
you
shit.
made a mistake. It's like that whole thing's like, you made a mistake. And as I'm getting him out the door and that whole thing, because he realized that he then finally notices that the guy behind me has a pistol at low ready and I have a pistol on my shoulder. And we're like, "Okay, what's this guy gonna do?" And for the record, he was a black guy. And we didn't know. I'm like, "Okay, I've got him far enough out the door that if he reaches for my gun, I can slam the door into his arm and break his arm, because that's exactly what I'm gonna do." And he just backs away, and because that's when he starts seeing a couple people walk out to like have a cigarette. So he's like, yo, two crazy motherfucking white boys live here. Two crazy motherfucking white boys live there." And we're just like, close the door, relock it. It's like, "I need a cigarette." And he's like, "Yeah, I think you do." So apparently, because of that happening, like they chewed his ass out for doing that. Because like, how you gonna fuck with our neighbors, especially those two? Those two have been some of the nicest motherfuckers we've ever met. Like, they've never bitched at us. You know, they've never. It's like if they don't have anything to do, they've never complained about anything. If it's too loud, they've asked us politely, and that whole thing. So it's like I show up next day, knock on the door after we go to the range, and it's like, "Hey, you know, just want to let you guys know what happened and explain what happened." And these happen to be two black men as well that live there.
Mhm.
And the one just goes, "What the absolute fuck? That's how niggas get shot."
Jeez.
And just like, it happened. Like it happens. He wasn't violent and anything. It's like we knew he was drunk and we figured he was from your party and that whole thing. So they called his ass again, woke him up hung over, and chewed his ass out a second fucking time.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Oh, that I've had so many interactions in there that it's like thrown people off of how like we went for a walk one day because like we all had that whole thing, and a different group was having like a party and whatnot. They were like bullshit in the parking lot, and I guess one dude was having like a bit of a spat with his significant other, and as we come walking up to go to the to go to our apartment, you know, one dude like he kind of stops arguing with his gal and his friend and whatnot, and like puffs up his shirt or his chest has that whole look like, "Oh, what you gonna do?" And I just walk up, "How's it going tonight, gentlemen?" And that like, you know, puffed up shoulders back thing, his shoulders relax, he gets in the whole thing. It's just like, "Oh, doing fine, just having a couple beers." I'm like, "All right, man, you guys have yourself a good night. Gonna go home and relax." And he's just like, we go walk. He's like, "Dude, he fucking called us gentlemen." The other one I know I've had is because we had several religious people show up, and where it finally stopped is when I had a two large individuals, and by large I mean they are wider, I guess high calorie deficient is the PC term or something, but one was exceedingly bigger than the other. And I had opened the door, stepped out. They start their spiel about God and whatnot. And I just went, "Nope." And I turned around and walked away. And the bigger of the two started to puff up his chest like he was going to try to reach. And I quite literally, out of the corner of my eye, saw the other one who was in a suit put his hand up and shake his head because he saw the pistol in the center of my back. I carry constantly, and I do today to this day as well. The only other one that had that is when a couple guys were like knocking on the door, and I think Bruce was like deployed or TDY or some shit. And when I opened the door, they're like, "I think we have the wrong house," and I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah." I'm like looking for the party that's a fucking house in front of me. They're like, "Fuck, dude, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You want to come to a party?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm good." As I stood there with my nice custom fucking holster that I had made for my 5-inch Chiappa Rhino, just kind of standing where it's like a hand could easily get to it. They're like, "Well, man," I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just relaxing." I'm like, "Oh, dude, we like to relax. We go to a party and get drunk and whatnot." I'm like, "Dude, like I appreciate it, but I'm good." And I was like, "Okay, we tried. Have a great one, man." Interactions. People have changing tones of interactions when you tend to have a firearm on your hip, or they see one, because it's like, I definitely am not going to get violent. I'm not. It's like being the one holding it. It's like the has-gun. I'm not going to get violent. I'm typically just going to tell you to fuck off, which I have every right to.
Yeah, there is that.
So we're at like an hour and something, and I just went just random stories and everything.
Like,
eat the worm. Eat the worm.
Eat the worm. I will still say at the end of that movie, he should have at least taken a bite, because who else is gonna be able to say they ate Graboid?
Well, I mean, he had the worm in the beginning, and it's like
it should have been him eating the worm at the end too.
Yeah.
That would have been a good bookend.
Especially if it was like off kind of like, hey, that's better than the other worm, or
like how that whole thing being like, oh, I think I'd take the earthworm over this one, or being like, oh, no, it's so bad. Bert, you gotta try that, or you gotta try some Graboid, bro.
It would have been a little better. Like it would have been them going. I think it was better than this. Great. Mm-hmm.
Just needs a little bit of your cactus sauce.
Bert ate the worm, given that Bert has been eaten by the worm before.
That too, as well.
Yeah.
I will say, bringing up the survivalist thing and having both of them in there for the end of it, because I hadn't watched that before, because like I said, I usually just turn it off after the credits. That seemed almost like they were trying to vie for doing another TV series. Or at least like a web series.
That would have been a great team up. The father and son.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we do A Cold Day in Hell, that's the last movie with Jamie Kennedy in it. I haven't watched Shrieker Island yet, so I don't know how they're going to explain that.
I know how they explain it, but I won't spoil it.
Uh-oh. Somebody's been watching ahead.
Oh,
Well,
the thing is, when I watched Shrieker Island, I was a little bit too distracted by too much housework and stuff, so I didn't exactly catch most of it.
Well, it's that whole thing. Like, I've had Shrieker Island, the movie of it, for probably a good year and a half, and just have yet to watch it. So I was just like, I know some of the things that happen in it, or at least how it ends, and I'm just like, I'm not there yet. And then once we got into this whole thing, I was like, I'm gonna wait. But since we were looking at doing a horror movie next week, and we wanted to do like want me to get a hold of Johnny since he's got that copy of Renfield, or we want to do something else.
Please.
Is Renfield a horror movie or a comedy?
I mean, it's a Nicolas Cage movie, but we could always go with a zombie movie.
I said go to a zombie movie.
Okay.
The undead need love too.
No, I'm totally down for a zombie movie or Renfield, or as long as it's not one of those.
Good.
Super creepy Japanese movies.
The only Japanese movie I have for the zombie movie that I still want to watch at some point, but I'm I'm gonna kind of save it because I kind of want to don't do. I just want to do when I watch that one, just watch it with subtitles and everything. I still have to watch Train to Busan.
I need to watch that one
Oh,
too.
that is good.
Everything I've seen of that movie, I am super looking forward to it. But if you're wanting to
Oh.
do something where we can do a zombie movie, kind of a horror movie, but also a western, I do have Bullets for the Dead, and that is a I can't ruin too much of it, but not what I was expecting. But I was not necessarily that disappointed. I was like, it's not. It doesn't have an ending like. It's more of a mix between like. It's more reminiscent of a George R. Romero movie, or George A. Romero. Sorry.
I have the perfect Halloween movie.
I'm afraid.
I'm not laying on the
Clown
chest.
from outer space.
What?
What you say?
Killer clowns from outer
Oh
space.
my
Eh,
Yeah,
god,
yes,
yes!
yes. I second that movie.
I absolutely love that movie.
Well, fuck you too.
Cotton candy and straws.
That's a
And
meh.
then the female clowns with the big boobies.
Yeah,
Oh, get over
the
it!
self-inflating bosoms.
Yes. That is hilarious.
If this is a democracy, I second that movie.
I don't mind Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but just that doesn't seem like the proper Halloween movie. Because it's
Okay.
more
Wonderful.
it's more comedy than it is horror.
The New Nightmare.
Meta.
Robert England.
You know what? No, we can watch. We can watch Hellraiser.
Oh.
I mean, shit. I know I've got it somewhere, but we can always watch if we want to. We could watch the original Night of the Living Dead.
Ooh, even better.
Ooh.
Barbara, I'm coming to get
I mean,
you,
granted,
Barbara.
I will openly
The
admit
coming to get you,
of
Barbara.
everything.
I say that every time the person who's like calling or chatting in is Barbara. It's like it's the back of the text is like they're coming to get you, Barbara.
like I will still say for that movie, I actually do like the remake a bit better, just because Barbara's not a
Bitch.
god shitty awful character.
A bitch.
Yeah. But I mean, that one did get George A. Romero's seal of approval way more than the Dawn of the Dead remake did. Or Day of the Dead remake. The Day of the Dead
Okay,
remake is
which one's the one in the mall?
that's Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
What's really
I
fun,
actually really enjoyed that movie.
I love the original Dawn of the Dead one, the Zack Schneider Dawn of the Dead. I have mixed feelings for in that, but I do love in the Dawn of the Dead remake and the Day of the Dead remake that has shit, I can't remember what the hell the dude's name is, but they both have Ving Rhames in it. Just in Day of the Dead remake, Ving Rhames has a smaller part.
I actually really Ving Rhames is one of the reasons that I really like that.
Oh, like I said, I don't mind it. I'm just not the biggest fan of it because it's the whole thing of
Ooh,
having like the
Ving
fast
Rhames,
zombies.
the people under the stairs.
If we say no, I want.
You could do
Day.
Zombieland.
Meh.
I liked Zombieland. I like the first one better than the second one.
Fair.
Work.
Aaron Carter is in the Dawn of the Dead remake, if I remember correctly.
The guy whose brother was like in Backstreet Boys or
No, not Aaron
the
Carter. I'm
other
sorry,
one.
Nick Cannon. I think one of the Carters was in. I think it was Dead 7, but I could be wrong. No, I'm thinking Nick Cannon. I completely fucked those names up. I just knew it was a fucking. The last name started with a C.
Puppet Master.
Again, I say Hellraiser. We have such sights to show you.
I would actually like to see the new one.
Which new one?
The newest one to where they have
remake of
well, they did a
Hellraiser.
reboot in a way because the Hell Priest, which has been so-called we call or lovely called Pinhead, was supposed to be more of an androgynous, asexual-looking character. So they went more effeminate with it.
Basically, female Pinhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to remember if I've seen that one. Probably.
I haven't.
Oh, there's also Megan or Smile. They're both on Amazon.
Megan just looks like a terrible version or like a terrible remake or riff off of Chucky, and Smile is, from everything I've seen of it, is just retarded to me.
We could always do Truth or Dare.
That movie's even
I'm,
dumber.
s- I'm still leaning toward Night of the Living Dead.
Original or 1999 remake? I say the black and white.
I say black and white. If we're going to do that one, we have to go classic.
That one, because I know
Those-
some facts about that one that's super fun for how that movie would turned out.
Say, those zombies and the classic conclusion for the gentleman that should have been the hero.
Well, that's why I
Yes.
said like I brought up Bullets for the Dead because it has a more George A. Romero-esque ending to it. Like that. That's a movie that I happened to see just in passing that one, and it caught my eye because it was like I saw that it was a zombie movie, but it's a Western movie as well. And I do like my Westerns from time to time. So I'll say, if anything, how about this? We do the original Night of the Living Dead, which I got to find my copy of that somewhere. We'll do.
You can always download it online. It's public domain.
Shush. I know, actually, on that one, I think it is public domain. I was going to say, shush, we're going about this through perfectly legitimate websites. And I actually do have a copy of it somewhere. I just think that one might be at a friend's house. Because I did
Pretty
buy
sure
it.
of a copy of it on my hard drive because it's public domain. That'd be legal.
Mm-hmm.
But then we'll do original Night of the Living Dead. Do we want to do a continued Tremors series after that one?
Yeah. I said continue.
Start. Because then we'll have one more. Because we still have
Cold Day in Hell and
So if we do-
Shrieker Island.
Yeah, we still have 3 more things. So we could do a horror movie. Or it's like do the Night of the Living Dead original, Cold Day in Hell. I say Bullets for the Dead just because I actually do like the movie and it's a bit darker and grittier for that one to go right before Halloween. And then the first Sunday in November, we'll finish off with Shrieker Island. And then go back to Nicolas Cage and look for something else for a palate cleanser.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so 29th?
Yes.
No,
No, 22nd.
20. Oh, yeah, 22nd for Cold Day in Hell.
Yes.
Okay.
Because then
But
2
if
But
days.
you don't want to watch
horror
movies with
movies
us?
with us, you can do that too.
I say I'm here by invitation.
Honestly,
I'm not trying to force myself out there. So
I don't care too much who joins as long as it doesn't get above, honestly, 6. That's about the best to keep it at. No more than I'm not doing your boy Pat's fucking chaos streams and whatnot.
Rodney, do you remember the horror movie Midsummer?
Ew.
I think Hereditary was scarier.
I
You
try
think
not
what
to
was so
think of that
scary?
movie.
Huh?
You think what
Trying
was
to
scary?
Hereditary.
Ugh.
Oh well,
It was good. It
You brought
was
up
fucking.
I
Midsummer
try to
first.
forget that movie existed.
Midsummer was good, creepy but good. But Hereditary is the bee's knees in horror. I didn't sleep very well that night.
Yeah, Hereditary was one hell of a fucking horror movie. Holy shit.
Hereditary was awful. Ew.
I say we redo it. We redo the review.
I mean,
Please no.
I liked it.
not at
I
least
don't
for a
want to
year.
watch it again.
That's something that's something that's gonna need at least a year. It's one of those ones I'm not trying to reapproach that fucking quickly.
Actually, the BBC network came out with the Midsummer Murders. It's a BBC series
That is
where
not a horror. That is a whodunit.
Oh, and BG, we've already done Willy's Wonderland. That was a fun movie.
Yes,
I
it
have
was.
not seen it, and I really want to.
Willy's Wonderland was amazing.
Apparently, it's on Tubi. I mean, I've got on it. That was just a fun movie.
Drive Angry.
My
It's
head
still
canon for that movie is that it's a depowered Ghost Rider. That is my head canon. Like he had the duties of Ghost Rider, but he just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm not using my powers. I like that movie.
He's a depowered ghost rider. Okay.
Yeah, it makes like the entire like he's unfazed by any of this. Like he is so nonchalant about the entire goings on of the entire those monsters, and then he fucking fights them with no fear. He said absolutely nothing the entire movie, like no dialogue from Nicolas Cage. And in the end, when like they tie him up, he's like, "Really, this is what you're doing?"
I just like how he didn't talk through the entire movie.
Yeah. Again, Willy's Wonderland would be Chef's Kiss, one of the best movies I've seen. And all because they couldn't get Five Nights at Freddy's.
Well, they are. That's finally coming out.
Uh, the hype train for Five Nights at Freddy's is kind of past with the movies, with the games, because Scott Caffin isn't doing it anymore. So Scott Coffin, sorry.
Okay.
They what they needed it done. They need to get it at when it was this fever pitch when he was doing like what maybe about 4 years ago. That would have been perfect to make the movie, but now it doesn't have the what's the word I'm looking for, the hype. There's nothing new they could add to the series.
Yeah, it's just not the best.
Yeah, like they missed. They didn't strike while the animal was hot, and now they missed it.
All I know is I want to see the movie. It's got Josh Hutcherson. It's it looks interesting,
It looks.
and I'm bummed. Probably I'm bummed out that I didn't get to see the Nicolas Cage one, and so I'm like hung up on seeing that one.
I mean, at one point we'll probably watch it again, just for the fucking fun of it.
Also, I like Josh Hutcherson. So. I'd like to see how well he translates into an adult actor.
I have no idea who that is, but
He was in The Hunger Games. He was in Bridge to Terabithia.
yeah, I barely know anything for any of those.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to.
But we're gonna call it here. We'll be doing the one thing, the Night of the Living Dead, old school black and white. Next week, continue the
Awesome.
Tremor series. After that, once we get into November, we'll continue back up with some Nicolas Cage. But in that whole thing, and then the 2 days before we do A Cold Day in Hell, as long as all goes well, and Frost doesn't have like two more people he forced to get married or something like that, I should be on the corner.
Remember, Rotn. Remember, you gotta vote for me in the character contest.
I make no guarantees of who I vote for. You better fucking be good then.
Oh, come on now.
Did you?
What's the point of having your friends on when you can't fucking abuse it?
Did
Because
you
the friend,
say that Frosted forces people to get married?
it's a theory. It's a theory.
Frosted has blackmail material on me, and
It's
I
a
kind of have to watch the corner
to kind
and
of
play the
Please.
game.
to kind of go off of the whole game theory. It's like it's a theory. It's a corner theory.
That
I
is
said,
prolific.
Frosted is Cupid for those marriages made in hell.
I mean, for all we know, he could be one hell of a fucking matchmaker. He could be
He's
Hitch,
saying he's
and
matchmaker.
none of us know it.
He's Saint's matchmaker.
He sings matchmaker.
Satan's.
Matchmaker,
Oh, he's
make me a
Satan.
match.
I know. I'm like, find me a fight. What?
Catch me a catch.
Oh no, and BG for Willy's Wonderland, the kid that they show in the beginning that survives is a little girl, and they bring her back up later on.
Yeah.
If it was supposed to be, if anything, I think they were just trying to make Cage. It's like Cage was going to be what was considered basically like the nameless character that you play as of the security guard.
Yeah, he was essentially supposed to be security, like you said, security guard, and they made him the janitor instead, which is a lot better because he fucks them up. Then he cleans up the messes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shit. Yeah, he's cleaning up. Like gore and blood and shit, and like, alright, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's my headcanon that he's that's Ghost Rider. He's just refusing to use his powers. He's on vacation.
Oh, boy.
Johnny Blaze is just. I'm too tired for this shit.
Yeah,
Just gonna drink my sodas and play pinball.
you know what? I'm on vacation. I will do shit, but I'm not transforming.
Yeah. I'm gonna take heavy breaks and play some pinball.
Yes.
But we're gonna call it here. It's like 1:30 in the morning here. I'm gonna try to get some more sleep considering I got a day for a weekend this weekend, and I have the same fucking thing next weekend.
Yeah, my 10-day work week starts tomorrow, so.
Sorry
Yeah.
to hear.
We're potentially hoping things will change where person I know works for the better, and I might be looking at getting a job there. So this would stop for a while, and then I'd be going to third shift to where this will just get moved to a different day, most likely.
Okay.
Well, it'd be that whole thing because I'd be working Sunday night and that whole thing. I mean, there's other I'll get into a little bit with you later, but we're gonna call it here. Thanks for showing up, BG. And that whole thing. This was a fun movie. The Tremors series is just that. It's meant to be fun. I will still say it's weaker than the TV show.
But still 2 thumbs up on this.
Oh yeah, it's still a good, fun movie, and even for the time frame that it came out, it wasn't overly beating you over the head with the girl power and everything. Like other than
It's
a few,
wonderful popcorn flick.
other than a few specific moments to where it's like, really, you could still have enough suspension of disbelief that it's like, okay, y'all just lucked out.
Yeah, there's really only the one time that really yanks you out. And the rest of it's like, okay, heat of the moment, it slides through. I mean, even if that one had been dead from the gunshots, Mama's gonna put arrows through it. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
she's gonna.
Just to make sure.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
and it's definitely been fun. Will, you're more than welcome to join next week in
Hey,
that
if-
whole thing.
If you want me back, as long as I should be able to make it.
Like I said, pretty much it's like you, since we're on Johnny's thing, he's also got free reign to come in here. Like I said, because we had when we did the one with Hammer, we also had Camel there.
Okay, he can't.
Like there's a lot of people that are more than willing to, and this isn't a game stream to. It's like so it's doing like quippers or riff tracks or
Mhm.
anything like that. So as long as it's not too chaotic, there's not many people I would necessarily say no to. We'd have to go to like my Discord server. And
well,
you've been
one
fun
true
for that,
is
so
a-
it's like you're pretty well welcome.
well, want you is a strong word. We don't want you there. You're welcome. We highly suggest you come.
And I'm
Well-
not banished yet.
I can say this, like what I like about having for Will is that when he shows up, I have someone I can actually talk to more about guns than anyone else.
That's true.
Like, love y'all, but
Like that Will
I-
has seen the weird, obscure shit that I've seen.
yeah,
Some of it.
That's true.
oh well, that's why, like I said, I'm excited to eventually get you guys in to see Dead 7 and definitely Bullets for the Dead, because like Dead 7 is one of the few sci-fi movies I actually like, and that's
I
saying
don't
something.
know what Dead 7 is, but you keep talking about Bullets for the Dead, and now I really want to watch it.
Well, okay,
I-
Dead 7 is a sci-fi movie. Obviously, it's a zombie movie. It's a post-apocalyptic one that's supposed to be a bit Western, but a bit modern, because it does use some modern guns as well. That predominantly features pop stars and rock stars. Like, one of the side characters is the lead singer of Everclear. It's got Joey Fatone in it.
Huh.
It's
That might be
got
interesting.
I
oh,
actually like Joey Fatone.
it's
He's
a
a good actor. so
fun
really.
movie, in my opinion.
Sounds
I
like
found
a
it
fun movie.
purely by mistake. Like I said, like Dead 7, or it's like Dead 7 is another one of those ones I just happened to come across. I think when I was on Amazon. Because yeah, it's got Nick Carter, Carrie Keegan, Joey Fatone, Jeff Timmons, AJ McLean, Eric Michael Estrada, Lauren Kit Carter, Deborah Wilson, Howie Duro, Chris Kirkpatrick, Art. Oh, Alexakis is the guy from Everclear, if I remember correctly. I think it's Everclear. No, I can't remember that whole thing. But it's a dumb, fun movie.
Fair
Well,
BG, but neither of us are under Canadian healthcare, so
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like this movie is so ridiculously dumb, and it's a sci-fi movie, and I love it for Dead 7. But Bullets for the Dead was not what I was expecting, but still a just really fun movie in my opinion. Well, I can't say fun necessarily, but it's a good old school George A. Romero style zombie movie.
Oh, so it's actually going to be depressing as shit. Okay.
Okay.
Slightly in some aspects. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Hope you all have a good one. And yeah, I got nothing else. So take
bye
it's
everybody.
been a weird day. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.
Go see the movie.
Bye.